Good afternoon. I would like to welcome you all to this ASA Abloy Academy presentation on ordering Sargent Master Keyed products. My name is Tom Seidel. I will be your lead instructor for today. I've been with the Academy for 6 years and the industry pushing 30 years. This session should last about 50 minutes, allowing some time at the end for question and answer. Your phone lines are muted. However, you can use the Q&A button in order to ask questions during the session. I will address questions in real time, as well as allowing for some Q&A at the end. The session is being recorded and should be available on the Academy website via link within 24 hours. You will also receive an email from Zoom within 24 hours, which is your proof of attendance for these sessions. We do not issue certificates of completion from the Academy for these 1-hour sessions, but if you're using these sessions for continuing education for our industry partners such as DHI or ALOA, the Zoom email will be your certificate of completion. We also welcome you to partake in any of the Academy courses online that you're interested in. There are well over 50 courses. We welcome you to get signed up and start learning at your own pace. We'll get started with this session. This is a breakdown of the layout for ordering cylinders loose from Sargent. It is if you're ordering the cylinders by themselves. If you're ordering a mortise lock, you will get the proper length cylinder with the proper cam in the proper finish. If you're ordering an exit device that requires a mortise or a rim cylinder, the proper cylinder will be included. This chart shows you if you're ordering the cylinders by themselves. The C series is the key and lever type cylinder for our cylindrical knobs, cylindrical locks, and some of the deadbolts. The 34 series is our rim cylinder. The 40 series is our mortise cylinder. Sargent does offer large format interchangeable core as well as small format interchangeable core in certain keyways. So the layout for Sargent's cylinders ordered loose, you would put all the options in the beginning, which would pertain to possibly the keying type, be it degree, be it signature, be it KESO, be it XC. Those options would be in the beginning of the cylinder number. If it's small format or large format, that would also be included in the beginning of the cylinder number. So with the mortise cylinders, you would then specify the length of the cylinder, whether it is a 6 or 7 pin. For master keying, you would order the keyway. For mortise cylinders, you would specify the cam. Sargent is actually very brilliant with their design, that the 101 cam is standard for the majority of the functions. There are very few functions that will not use that 101 cam. However, if you are using a Sargent cylinder in another manufacturer's, you will have to specify the proper cam so that it works. The next thing would be the finish, which would match the hardware, and then the key set symbol, which we will get into here shortly. Let's look a little bit deeper into each type of cylinder. Sargent 40 series is their mortise cylinder. They are available in a 1-inch to 3-inch length. Sargent mortise cylinders are used in mortise locks for dogging on exit devices and mullions, as well as some of the entry trims would also use a mortise cylinder. Key switches in access control applications would also use a mortise type cylinder. Again, the 101 offset cam is standard. And based on the nomenclature, the 40 starts as the 1-inch cylinder. The second digit, if you increase the second digit by 1, that adds 1/8 of an inch to the length of the cylinder. So a 42 would be 1 1/4 inches. A 43 would be 1 1/8 inches, and so on, up to that 3-inch length. And again, you will use the proper cylinder based on the application. If it is a thicker door than 1 3/4 inches, it might need to be addressed. If it is a large depth escutcheon, you might need something different. Sargent, if you're ordering the cylinder in the exit trim or in the escutcheon, you will get the proper length that you need. If you're ordering a separate, you need to be cognizant of that. They are available in 6 or 7-pin configurations. 6-pin is standard. And when we talk about the number of pins, we're talking about how many different pin chambers are available for keying. And it does actually affect the number of change keys that you can have on a project. 7-pin is used for larger systems where you need additional key sets. If you start a system in 6-pin, it always has to be 6-pin. If you start a system in 7-pin, it should always be 7-pin. Sargent does also offer some competitor keyways. I would recommend that you check that out in the catalog. Standard cylinders are available in 11 finishes, which are the major architectural finishes, which will match the hardware that you're placing the cylinder into. Let's take a look at the rim cylinders. The 34 series is Sargent's rim cylinder. That is available in a 6 or 7-pin configuration. Like the Mortise cylinders, it's available in the 11 finishes, as well as some competitive keyways. Rim cylinders are normally used in some exit device trims, depending on the function, as well as rim locks, and some deadbolts will use a rim type cylinder. Several different tail pieces are available based on the thickness of the door and the different type of application it's going into. Again, if you're ordering the cylinder loose, you'll need to coordinate your tailpiece length based on the application. They also are available to be cut down in the field, but there's nothing worse in the field than cutting it down and cutting it down an 1/8 inch too short. So we always recommend that you order them to the length that you need. Our component cylinders are C series cylinders. They're used in cylindrical locks and deadbolts, as well as key and knob or key and lever exit device trims. C stands for component cylinder. The C-10 works in the 10 line. The C-11 works in the 11 line. The catalog will give you the exact part number of each based on its application. 6-pin is standard. 5-pin is optional. As we talked about the 6-pin versus 7-pin configuration, where the 7-pin adds additional keying, a 5-pin has less keying changes available. It's not normally used in new construction. So assume that you're going to use a 6-pin or higher. You can only use 6-pin in the key and knob and key and lever configurations with Sargent. We do offer some competitive keyways, and the finishes are complementary. There is a US 15, which is a silvery finish to match all of the silver colors, and there is a brushed brass color that matches all the brass and bronze finishes. Let's talk about our interchangeable core product. When we talk about interchangeable core product, every manufacturer that offers a large format interchangeable core, that specific core is unique to that manufacturer. That is the difference between large format and small format interchangeable core. When we talk about small format interchangeable core, we're talking about a universal size that can fit in all of the small format manufacturers. When we talk about small format interchangeable core, we're usually referring to the Arrow or Best or Falcon style. The small format cores will interchange between all manufacturers that manufacture them. However, large format interchangeable core is unique to that specific manufacturer. So the Sargent 6300 core is a large format core. It allows for immediate changeover of cylinders, which allows for fast rekeying on projects. You use a special control key that allows for removal and replacement of the core. For construction purposes, we can do what we call a keyed temporary core that would allow for security of that building during the construction phase, as well as a disposable plastic core. Note that when you are buying interchangeable cores, you must order the control key. We will not ship it unless you tell us you want one and how many you want. The 63- option is to add large format to our standard mortise or rim cylinders, or to manufacture that lever in the board lock to accept that large format interchangeable core. 63- gets you the actual core itself included. The 65- option is available if you want to buy the cores themselves unassembled, which has no springs and no pins and no parts in it. We also can do what we call one-bitted, which is a blank key, a number 1 bottom pin, top pins, and springs. Again, if you're going to use large format interchangeable core with Sargent, it has to be the Sargent 6300 core. Our small format interchangeable core is our 7300 series. That's available in 6 or 7 pin, available in our XC series cylinder family only. This allows for the same changeover that you have with the large format, but that small format is the common footprint amongst all those manufacturers that we talked about. You still need a control key, you still need to specify it, you still need to order it. We can do temporary cores with this as well as disposable plastic cores. In addition to the XC series 4A and 4B keyway, we can also do 12 of the lettered best brand keyways, A through M, I believe. So the 73- option will add small format interchangeable core to our standard rim and mortise cylinders, as well as key and knob, key and lever. The 65-6300 is the unassembled core. 65-7300. We can also do this as a one-bitted again for field keying. And just like our large format products, we can do temporary keyed cores or disposable cores as well. So you can order cylinders from Sargent several different ways. If you want, you can have them shipped master keyed, which is a cylinder that's configured to work with multiple keys. Keyed random, you'll get 2 keys with the cylinder and they have no relationship to any of the other cylinders on the project. One bitted, again, you get a cylinder that has springs, top pins, and number 1 bottom pin. It's supplied with blank keys. You can also order them uncombinated, where you get the cylinder, you get the housing, you get the plug, and you get no pins, no springs, no keys. That is usually used for facilities that do their own pinning, or locksmiths that want to do their own pinning. Let's talk about the keyways available. Sargent has several open or conventional keyways. The LA is the common stock keyway for Sargent. A lot of stocking distributors will carry the LA keyway because it is the most common for them. The good thing about it is there is availability. The bad thing about it is also there's availability, which means that you can buy key blanks through Sargent. You can also buy key blanks through aftermarket manufacturers. The downside to buying those aftermarket keys is they may not be the proper tolerance to work with Sargent factory products. So always be careful when you buy your key blanks from some of the aftermarket vendors. There are keyways available that will give the owner a little bit of protection against those problems of aftermarket sales. We'll talk about those in a minute. But the standard stock keyways are the L series family. In contract work, our H and our R families are very common as well. And for the hotel industry, we had the C family keyways. We see that obviously most hotels have gone to access control, but we still have that family available, and it gives you a unique large bow key instead of the standard Sargent key that we're showing you there. So all these are conventional open keyways. There's not any patents on the manufacturing of aftermarket key blanks and such. Sargent does offer some restricted keyway cylinders, and these are factory controlled, geographically limited sales. We do offer a little bit of end user protection because we do not make these key blanks available through wholesalers. They must be purchased by the manufacturer, from the manufacturer, by the end user through distribution, through proper channels with authorization from the owner to purchase them. Again, it doesn't mean that they could not make a copy of that key. They are restricted. However, there's not a patent on said keys. When we need something that is patented against duplication, then we need to move, obviously, to a different family. Let's move over and take a look at our XC series. The XC cylinders are specially designed. They have a patent protection still on them. They have a patent protected keys which operate the XC cylinders and the conventional cylinders in one key system. XC can be integrated into existing systems. You'll have to confirm that with key records, or it can be done with a new system. We can do 6-pin conventional cylinders, large format interchangeable core cylinders, and 7-pin. XC 7-pin small format interchangeable cores are available in 4A keyway, and the blanks are only sold through authorized Sargent distributors. Again, the XC keys can be cut to operate non-XC conventional cylinders. The keys can be cut on standard duplicating machines. What you'll see is there is a unique locking pin, which gives you an additional locking feature to the cylinder itself. And if you look at the bottom right of the screen, there are notches in that side key. It's a specially milled key. Know that this exists. Again, if you're looking for patent protection, this still is patented, but its lifeline is getting closer. You get a 20-year utility patent on the keys. And if you need something that is longer, because this one's been in existence for several years, if you need something with a longer patent protection, then we have to go to a different product. But we've got them. The signature key system is the 10- option. This is only available on existing systems. The patent has expired on it. You'll notice it does have additional locking bars with shear lines. The key itself has dimples in it on the side, and they correspond with special pins on the side. Gives you additional protection against picking. Again, this is only available in the L and R family keyways, and it's only for existing systems. We're not doing new signature products at this time. The KISO F1 system. KISO is a unique proprietary key system. It gives you a strong 6-sided key, which is symmetrical and reversible. There are 12 different pins in 3 rows on 3 axes. This makes it incredibly difficult to pick. The good thing about this is it is factory controlled, patented system. The downside to this, it is not user serviceable. It will not incorporate into any other systems. But if you want to buy replacement cylinders, you must buy them directly from the factory. Distributors cannot pin these. Locksmiths cannot pin these. So it is a proprietary factory-based only system. Sargent Key does offer a removable core, but it is not like your typical figure 8 large format interchangeable core. This takes us to our degree key system. The degree key system is our newest patented key system that is available through Sargent. It is certified ANSI BHMA grade 1. The nice thing about it, this is an option that targets new construction as well as existing systems that are looking to upgrade to newer technology. There are 3 different levels of security at 3 different price points. There are 8 different keyways in the degree system. It carries a utility patent until 2027, which ensures that until at least then, the owner will not have a problem with having keys duplicated by a kiosk in a mall, because those key blanks are not available other than through proper distribution. We'll talk a little bit about the DG1, the DG2, and the DG3. DG1 gets you a patented key with conventional cylinders, conventional pinning. The DG2, also patented, but that gets you, instead of standard pins, they are angled pins, left, right, and center. DG3 is our UL437 high security version of that, which gives you the attack and drill resistance, as well as the pick resistance of the DG2. And the DG2 and DG3 have a secondary locking feature as well. Again, that makes it very difficult to pick. The degree system uses a what we call a single step progression with a thicker pin. Single step progression allows for additional change key availability. It is a very friendly system. It is field serviceable. You can cut DG1 on a standard key cutter. DG2 and DG3 would require a key cutter that has the capacity of cutting angled pins. Again, you would need to order the blanks with the proper millings on the side for your system. Now we'll get into ordering. We know that ordering can be very, very complicated, and we want to make sure that all of the information is complete and correct when we get it to key records. The order cannot be entered until all information is received. And distributors on the session, we cannot take an order that says, please process keying information to follow. I myself was guilty of that years back when I was a distributor, and the factory can't do anything with that order because they need the keying in order to start the process. So we're going to walk through the process and the procedure, as well as the nomenclature. We use the standard blind code DHI format for labeling our change keys and our master keys, etc. Just about every manufacturer uses this same DHI approved nomenclature. What we're showing you here is that standard information where we have a 3-level system there, where we have our bottom is our change key, master key above that, grandmaster. That is a 3-level system. Before we get there, the most secure system is honestly single keyed differently. 1 lock, 1 key. When you add a master key to it, you add a grandmaster key to it, you make that lock less secure. Master keying is for convenience, not security. Because when you add a master key and then a grandmaster key or a great grand on top of that, you add additional what we call shear lines. The shear line is what happens when you place the key into the cylinder. You line up all the bottom pins and the top pins to allow the plug to turn. That's called a shear line. So with a master key, you're creating additional shear line possibilities. With a grandmaster key, you're adding additional shear line possibilities. So make sure your customer understands that the more complicated the system, the less secure it is. So single key differently is the most secure. But for convenience, sometimes we need to change things around. So let's take a look here. This is a master key system at 2 level, where you'll have 2 different keys that operate each cylinder on the project. At the very bottom, we have our 3 different change keys. At the top, we have our master key. With a 2-level system, it always starts AA is your master key. The changes under your master key on a 2-level system starts with 1, then AA, 2, AA, 3, AA, 4, AA, and so on. You'll see what happens now as we go from a 2-level system to a 3-level system. And a 3-level system is just 2 or more 2-level systems tied together under a higher key called the Grand Master Key. We still have our change keys, and we have our master keys, and we have a Grand Master. Now, look at the change keys. Look what happened. The change keys under Master AA now say AA1, AA2, AA3. In a 2-level system, the number was first. So when we go to a 3-level or higher system, that number changes to the back instead of being in the front of it. That way, the factory understands exactly how that's supposed to be laid out. So in this system, we have 3 different master keys with 3 different changes under each. The Grand Master Key can enter and operate anything below it. The Master Key can operate anything below it. The master keys are individual to everything below themselves. AA cannot work anything in AB or AC. I hope that makes sense. There are also what we call some special or selective master keys that are used. Engineering, housekeeping, janitor key, security key, grounds key. Now, when you look at those are again for convenience. The engineering group and the janitors may not need to get access to the same people. The housekeepers don't need access to the areas where the engineering people would need. So these are selective master keys, and by using those, you actually cut down on the available changes in the system. You're making it more convenient for the owner. It's less secure. And every time you add a selective master key, you cut down exponentially on the amount of changes you can have in the system. Just bear in mind. We can also do changes under the Grandmaster or Great Grandmaster as well. GGM1 would be the first change under your Great Grandmaster, then GGM2, GGM3. If you wanted changes under your Grandmaster A, A1 would be the first change key under Grandmaster A, A2, A3, etc. And you can have multiple Grandmasters under a Great Grandmaster. It would start out as A, B, C, D. Again, we always try to recommend that you keep everything as simple as possible. When you're ordering the product, everything has to run smoothly to make sure that you get the delivery on time. And we know the keying is such a small piece of the puzzle, but it's always one of the last things that's addressed and sometimes ordered. And everybody needs to be on the same page. We're going to give you some tips going as we go through here. You know, it is a complete effort. Give us as much information as you can. Ask us for help. Each DSS office has a key system specialist employed, whose, again, job it is to help you place those orders, lay out the system properly. Tech support can be involved. Customer service can be involved. Key records. Again, your local sales reps. I didn't include the trainers. A lot of times we're asked to do training for end users. They're putting out a new system. Say, hey, we need someone to train this owner on how to key their new degree system. And we do that as well. So it is a team effort. Again, if you do it properly from the beginning, you'll always have a good, strong, flexible key system. Key records. They're probably one of the most important pieces of the puzzle, though, because they not only process the keyed orders, they transmit the records to the plant. They maintain the customer's key records. They can give info and support to both our field sales reps as well as the end users. They're the ones that design the actual key systems. And they're the ones that should be consulted. If you have an existing Sargent system that you're going to add on to, reach out to Key Records. As a matter of fact, there's a request letter sample that's in the price book that you can use as your letterhead to go into Key Records. Give them as much information. Say, I have registry number 42615 in Des Moines, Iowa for the 3rd Street school. I need to know what the next available changes are under Master AA in AB. That kind of information would only come from Key Records. We don't want to make any assumptions. Okay, the lead times are calculated from the date all questions are answered. So if we get that proper information ahead of time, it will make it flow much smoother to you. Customer responsibilities, what the customer needs to know. The product compatibility with key systems. Can we do a small format interchangeable core degree system? No, we can't. But that should be addressed well ahead of time so we don't run into roadblocks down the road. The key symbols that we talked about, the proper DHI symbols. If you use those, you won't get questions from the factory. Authorization procedures. Do I need a letter of authorization for this restricted keyway? What does that look like? Who does it go to? What forms do I need to use? Okay. All of those things. The keying lead sheets. We're going to actually walk through the keying lead sheets on how to order and go through each section and discuss exactly what we're looking for. So let's review each form here. These lead sheets must be used. We know that distributors sometimes will have a software such as ProTech or ComSense that can spit out a properly detailed keyed order. We still require these 3 lead sheets to be included. Reason being, it spells out all of the proper information that we need. So let's start with that first lead sheet. Obviously, the first thing we want to know, distributor name, job name, end user. Again, this is so important with setting up a new system or even expanding an existing system. The zip code is important. The address is absolutely important. The name. It could start out as 3rd Street Elementary School, but might get renamed to Ronald Reagan Elementary School down the road. And Key Records, if not informed of that, would not know, but if you had the address information, they can track it backwards through that. So as much information as possible here is absolutely important. So we want to also know the system. Is it a new system? Is it customer supplied biddings? Sometimes an owner will develop their own pinning. Again, if that is the case, we need their bidding specifications ahead of time, and it needs to be pre-approved by the Key Records department. In an existing system, we're going to ask for a few things. The registry number is the most important. At minimum, the top master key, bidding, and keyway, or a previous order number from Sargent. The registry number is probably the most important of those, but if you don't have the registry number, that other information could help. The address can help. Field created key systems. Again, if we didn't develop it, we need to look at the math and what they did. Sargent Standard Products uses what they call a 2-step progression because of the thickness of the pin. They must follow Sargent rules or we cannot key into it. We would need a letter of authorization from the owner, allowing us to key into their system, as well as a liability release saying that Sargent's going to key into our system. It is not Sargent's fault if we made a mistake in the math and keys are interchangeable. And again, we have rejected if we cannot comply with how the owner set it up. If they did not do it per Sargent math, then we could reject the order. For new systems, we want to define expansion parameters, right? The levels of keying. How high is that system going to be? How many master keys? How many changes under each masters? And we want to kind of get an idea for what the owner's going to do in the future as well. That is a great specification there. Establish a new Grandmaster key system. Plan for 20 changes under the Grand. Plan for 10 master keys with 50 changes under each master. That gives Sargent a baseline of where to start. It doesn't mean you're going to use all 10 master keys on that first order. It doesn't mean you're going to use all 50 changes under that order, but this allows for future proofing. It's easier to do it now than 10 years down the road to try to go backwards and say, hey, I need another master here attached into the system. And again, sometimes it's a good guess, but we have to try to get that much information from the owner. Okay. We talk to the owner and we say, how many buildings do you have planned? What future additions? If it's a shell and core, what's the maximum numbers of openings in each floor or department area once everything is partitioned out? Are there any future buildings planned? How do they fit into your system? Will all cylinders be under the same system? Again, sometimes owners will do different things, and depending on the complexity and their plans for the future, we might do something different. We might use a multiplex key system versus making everything all one keyway. We could use several different keyways to accomplish this for the owner. We'll talk about that in a second. System design. Again, is it a level 2, level 3, level 4? How many of each type key below? So if it's a Grandmaster key, how many masters under the Grand? How many changes under the master? If it's a Great Grand, how many Grands under the Great Grand? How many master keys under the Grand? How many change keys under each master? We need to know that, right? You can also specify the numbers of pin chambers used. 6-pin is default. 7-pin, again, would be used for additional keying capacity. I would never recommend using a 5-pin system. Just because of the math, you lose a lot of keying by going to 5-pin. There are some existing 5-pin systems out there that we will maintain, but we will not build a new one. Any additional information that you need. Sub-master keying. Now, you have to be above level 4 in Sargent's world to talk about sub-master keys. It's just another level of master key. And quite frankly, one of our competitors uses that word sub-master keying like they use air, and it confuses the end user sometimes. Again, the most long life systems are the most simple. Next step, identify the system type. Is it conventional? Is it degree? KESO? Is it going to be small format interchangeable core? If so, which Sargent keyway or which other keyway is it going to be? Keyway selection. Sargent would prefer to assign the keyways unless the owner has a specific requirement or the distributor has a specific requirement. Sometimes we'll find distributors that want to put everything on their stock keyway, which is great for them for aftermarket sales, but it is bad for the town because everything's on the same keyway. Run that risk of interchange between buildings. Okay. Keyway families. I mentioned multiplex earlier. This is showing you the 9 different keyways that are available in the L series family. Each keyway has a specific key above it that operates it and enters it. They're broken into groups of 3. And you'll see the LD key blank can operate LA, LB, and LC. The LH will operate LE, LF, LG. The LM works with LJ, LK, and LL. And as you go up, at the very top, there is an LN key blank that can enter and theoretically operate all of those changes below it. So with a master keyed cylinder in 2-step progression, you can have a total of 4,096 theoretical changes under that master. Now, there are a lot of things that will affect that 4096, and when you start into a larger system, it really gets cut down. So technically, you could use those same key biddings on LA and LB in separate buildings. You could use that LD key as the great or grandmaster that will enter and operate the ones below it. However, the LB key does not enter the LA key, and backwards compatible. They are unique to themselves. The multiplex keys can enter the key sections, if that makes sense. So again, this is something that we would have those conversations with key records prior to ordering a large system or prior to setting out a large system. Sargent also has 4 different keyways, which are what they call simplex keyways, which there is no interrelationship between any keys and any cylinders. The R only operates R. The S only operates the S. There's only one keyway, one key blank that operates it. So know that you have that availability. I'm showing you the 4 different families. Each one has 9 different keyways in each family. Letters of authorization. Step 5, you would need to provide letters of authorization for degree, signature, KEYSO, or restricted keyways. Absolutely needs to be done with the order. Authorization forms look like this. There's a degree system information document. There's an authorized form for SARGENT KEYSO. There is a KEYSO signature form for placing the actual orders. You must include these. They are included in the copied price book. Step 6, key quantities. How many total keys do you want per cylinder? Normally it's 2, can be more if you want that. How many master keys do you want? How many grandmasters? How many great grandmasters? Special keys, control keys for interchangeable core. You must specify them or you don't get them, like I said. Construction master keying we haven't talked about. Emergency keys. Those are, the other special functions. You need to specify how many of those you want supplied. Special features of the cylinder. If you're going to use signature or XC series or degree series, you would note that in here. Interchangeable core would be noted in there as well. Special stamping. What do you want the factory to stamp on the key itself? The biddings, the key set symbols, some other symbol? Do you want the keys only stamped? Do you want the keys and the cylinder in a concealed location or in a spot on the face of the cylinder? Other options available here as well. Do not duplicate. They'll stamp that at no charge. We can do what we call die stamping, which is the end user wants their logo on the keys. They have to pay for that die stamp, but we will stamp their name on the key. Okay, this is showing you what we're talking about. That key and lever cylinder that I'm showing you there has a key set symbol in a concealed location. The mortise cylinder has it in a surface location, and the key set symbol is listed right here on the key. So we're looking at the key blank itself in the top right. It's an LA series, which is the keyway. The system registry number is listed right there. That's your AA, that is your master key. And if you see the little chevron symbol on the key, that tells you that it is a factory cut key. You always want to look, if you're ever gauging a key, you always want to gauge a key based on a factory cut key. If it does not have that chevron symbol, it was not cut at Sargent. Cross keying. You're going to specify any key sets that are cross keyed. As a company, we do not recommend or encourage cross keying. Cross keying is for convenience, not for security. So you would list out your key set symbol and what it's to be operated by. This is what I'm talking about. This is a scenario here where the receptionist area would be its own change key. You have 2 offices. So the receptionist would have to get there early and unlock that door before people in office 1 or office 2 could enter. So if you wanted to cross key, you would designate the X in front of the key set symbol. That tells us it's cross keyed. So XAA3 is operated by AA1, AA2, AA, and A. Those are all the cylinders, I'm sorry, all the keys that will enter and operate AA3. And again, by doing that, you cut down on the system capacity. You lose additional change keys. It also is less secure because there's multiple shear lines. That is what we call controlled cross keying. They're all in the same master. There are some times when an owner requests that we do uncontrolled cross keying, which would mean something in master AB or AC, etc., would also operate that opening. We, again, avoid that. We don't even offer it in security and high security. There's better ways to do it. Sometimes carrying 2 keys is not the worst thing in the world. Keying notes. Again, cross-keying details have to be listed out. Any other complex instructions you need to spell out to us. Key shipping. Where are the keys to be shipped and how are they to be packed? Do you want the change keys with the locks or the change keys separately? Usually in a security or high security, the change keys will be packed separately from the locks. Where do they go? To whose attention? The master keys. Any key blanks, any additional cores, software, all of that information normally doesn't go to the distributor. It's going to go to the end user. That lets the distributor be protected. However, some specifications call for a key cabinet to be completed and compiled by the distributor. So the distributor would have to get the change keys and the master keys shipped to them and then present the owner with a outfitted key box with all the proper keys indexed in that. Again, it's all based on the specification. Bidding lists. We can include the bidding lists. When they're ordered on the PO, it's at no charge. If you come back to us later and say, I would like the bidding list for this order from 2 years ago, there will be a cost for it because it takes the time for key records to dig that information out. Do you want an expanded bidding list? Again, we're asking for 50 change keys under each master. That's an expanded bidding list. You tell us the requirements. What do you need? How do you want it provided? Electronically or on paper? We can also give a key wizard download file as well. If you're using the key wizard key management software, we can send that information out as well. Contact information. Who at the distributor's office is knowledgeable about this? Sometimes the purchasing agent will put their name there, but then factory reaches out to the purchasing agent who knows nothing about the project, have to go back to the PM, ask the information, wait for the information, then relay it back to the factory. If the project manager name is here with their contact information, key records could reach out to them and kind of bypass the possibility of something getting lost or confused in the translation between point A and point B. So we always recommend that somebody who has knowledge of the system be included there. And again, if you're using a software package, as long as it has all of the information, it can follow those lead sheets. If not, we're going to talk about these specific order forms. One's for lock sets, one's for exit device, one's for miscellaneous product. And we're going to walk through. Okay, here's our lock set order form. Okay, we have a customer that needs some product here. The nice thing about Sargent, you put all the information down here, obviously your customer order number, etc., job name, keying instructions. The first item, we want 128-DG1-63-10G05 lock, LL trim, 26D, right hand. If you want a special strike lip, special screws, any information there. We get over here to our door number. Door number is A101. Our key set symbol is AA1. Any additional information would be added there. So we continue filling out this form. You'll note with Sargent, you can put different function lock sets on the same order sheet. Our sister companies, if you change the function, you have to put an entire new sheet together. So the beauty of this here, we've got 3 different functions of lock set, as long as we include our door number and our key set symbol. You'll notice our first 2 lines there. A101 is key set symbol AA1. A102 is AA1. A103 is AA2. So that tells us that door A101 and A102 are keyed alike. They are the first change under Master AA under Grandmaster A. Door number A103 is the second change under Master AA under Grandmaster A. That's our lock set order form. Here's an exit device order form. The same things need to be filled out. Our quantity, exit device, our trim, our finish, handing, any other information that's required, door width, door height, thickness, anything special would need to be listed there. So the door width is 34 inches. Door number is A101. Key set symbol is AB1. Filling out the rest of the form here, again, you can do different functions on the same order sheet. Different trims on the same order sheet. Different finishes, same order sheet. Different door widths. All that information will allow us to present this properly to the factory. So you'll notice we have A101 here is key set symbol AB1. Door A102 is AC1. Door A103 is AA2. So 3 different doors, 3 different key set symbols. A101 is the first change under AB master under A grandmaster. AC1 is the first change under AC master under A grandmaster. AA2 is the second change under A master under A grandmaster. That's how those forms need to be filled out with that proper information, with handing, with special door widths, with finishes, with proper trim. By doing that, that will get us to the proper place for order entry, and you won't get questions returned back to you. So, keyed order checklist. Is the existing registry number on the order identified? Did you include authorization letters? Are the expansion requirements on a new system identified? On an existing system, did you select the correct next available change? If you send an order in and you ask for AA1, AA2, AA3, and they've already been used, the factory doesn't know that they were to be new key set symbols. They're going to key them alike with something else that's already on that building. Are you missing any key set symbols? Did you specify the master key quantities? Did you specify control keys? Cross keying. Did you include all the information? Can we even do that? Do you have more than one operating condition on cross-keyed sets? If it's a field established systems, have we gotten the release letter and approval from the factory? Are you using DHI symbols or non-DHI symbols? The DHI symbols that we showed you there are common amongst the industry. It will allow them to enter that immediately. Quote number, contact information, lead sheets with the order. Quote number is probably pretty important because if you don't include the quote number, you're going to get that material at your buying program discount. And if it's caught early on, it's not a hassle. It just needs to be changed. If it's caught after invoicing, then there's a problem. There's probably going to be a surcharge added to fix the billing. So always try to include that ahead of time. At this point, I will open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions? If there are no questions, I will go ahead and end the session. I would like to thank you all for your time and invite you to future sessions. Oh, where can you get the keyed lead sheets? The keying lead sheets can be downloaded from Sargent's website. If you have a printed copy or a digital copy of the price book, they are also included in the front section of those as well. Thank you for your question. Any additional questions? All right. Thank you guys for your attendance today. Hope to see you on a future session.